Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and well, we got an unusual one today. We have a product that, well, I was requested to take a review on and see if I couldn't pass some information along to our channel viewers, and that's what we'll do today. Nick at Deuthlon contacted me. He said we have some fishing reel lubrication products that we would like to share with you, get your opinions on, see how you might like them, and well, just give us an assessment of what you're thinking at the time, and pass it along to your viewers if possible. Well, I thought I would do that. So he sent me the Deuthlon High Performance Reel Lubrication Starter Kit. What caught my mind on this one is that I've done a couple of episodes now about hot rodding reels, and one of the things you can do to hot rod your reels is upgrade the lubrications on them. Now, I know in most of my fishing videos I'll tell you I really don't have a preference for the fishing reels as long as you use fishing reel greases and oils to do your lubrication. But there are products out there, this is one of them, which tries to go beyond just the basic lubrication properties that you're going to find in greases and oils designed for fishing reels, which most of the time is it's about slip, it's about coefficient of drag, if you will, or efficiencies like that in terms of overcoming friction. It'll be about durability and to some extent water displacement. But in all of them, they're designed for marine environments. They're designed for fresh and salt water, and I recommend those over your general household or automotive greases that sometimes find their way into fishing reels. Well, this one takes it to another level, and for a lot of information on this, I'm going to recommend you go to the website. I'm not going to be able to tell you everything that's about this here, but I did my research when Nick had contacted me, and I wanted to see, is this something that I would even be interested in trying? And the answer came back with a resounding yes. So we're going to open up this kit. We're going to take a look at what's in it. We'll give you some ordering information if that's something that you're interested in finding out, or just the website, if you will, in terms of what you might be interested in from learning more about this. I certainly learned more about it. Now, I'm not a chemist. I am not a metallurgist. I guess that's the right words. I don't know the interactive properties of these, but I do know that, well, at least on its surface, it seems to be really kind of an interesting set. So let's take a look. The first one I opened up is actually a generic reel oil. I'm going to assume that that one lines up well with the ones that I use. Here's a generic oil, if you will. It's Penn Precision Reel Oil. I've also used Reel-X. Somewhere on my table here is probably Reel-X as oils. And these are, you know, performance engineered. They've been good and dependable oils. But again, we're thinking here of taking that to the next level. So let's look at what's in this, and I'm going to try and explain a little bit about each one of these. And well, we'll see how far we can go with this, with what I know of them. The starter pack, let's see, the starter pack, when you open it up, includes 3 greases and a lube, and a little booklet here that tells you when you're lubricating your gearing, where you should be lubricating, or when you're lubricating your reel, where you should be doing that. And well, what I've come to learn is that there's 4 products here. Each one of them looks like about an ounce worth of product. I'm not quite sure what they are, but I'm going to try these. We'll give it a full test. But let's talk a little bit about each one of these. We'll go over the products first, and then I'll tell you a little bit about each one. The first one is a reel gear grease. Again, I'm not quite sure. Probably should stop that, focus that a little bit more. But it's a reel gear grease with ceramic in it. The second one is a Semifluid Grease with PTFE. Now, I had to go out and look at that, of course. What is PTFE? Well, it's polytetrafluoroethylene. How do you like that? More commonly known as Teflon. So Teflon by itself is going to be a slip factor in that. Then you have a power drag grease, with PTFE in it. And the last one is a ceramic and high-speed burring. It looks like an oil. So let's take a look at each one of these, talk about the properties that Deuthlon tells us they're intended for, or what their strengths are in terms of recommending it. And then, well, I'm not going to put these right into customer reels. I'm going to put them in my own reels, and we're going to give them a good test, and then we'll see just how far we go with these products. Let's start with this one. This one is a ceramic gear grease. And the gear grease itself, well, a lot of times when we're out doing the servicing of fishing reels, we have one open, we notice that all of the grease is spread throughout the case. And actually, a lot of times when I go to service a reel, you find that the gears don't have the grease on them. It's everywhere in that reel but on the grease. Well, this is supposed to overcome that with a couple of different characteristics behind it. It has ceramic particles in it, and those ceramic particles actually form a layered surface with the movement of the gears, kind of a protective shield, if you will. And it bonds because it's got a polarized property to it. It'll bond to the metals, and it'll align the particles in such a way that it provides for maximum slip and protection against wear. It's not supposed to be forced out under loads. We're going to try and test that. It's appropriate for extreme saltwater conditions. It has a high load capacity in it. So if you're out there fishing big fish, you're not going to squeeze this out. It's also, I'm told, has an anti-emulsification and anti-seize properties. Again, one of the big issues that we have in the gears that I service is that, well, you're either going to see those lubricants evaporate, or they become weakened with water intrusion. Not all reels are sealed, of course. And, well, over time, that limits the effectiveness of that. I'm told that this has a AquaShield technology in it that's going to throw off the water, a low coefficient of friction, which is going to make these gears run nice. It says that we have a high viscosity in this, so we're going to find that out. And it also says that it's going to have a quieting feature in it. So it's going to be able to take noisy gears, and probably with the layering of those ceramic particles, quiet those gears down. Well, I have a Pen Jig Master that's as annoying as it can possibly get with gear noise. We're going to try that on this one. We're going to see how that one does. Let's see if I can grab another one. This is their Power Drag Grease. It also has PTFE in it. Again, for those of you that weren't paying attention, polytetrafluoride ethylene, commonly known as Teflon. Now, a lot of times folks ask me about the drag grease, and you've seen me use a drag-specific grease on a lot of the applications when I'm putting reels back together again. And we know that there's three types of drag washers. There's actually a Teflon drag washer, there's a fabric drag washer, there's a felt drag washer, and there's Carbon-Tex drag washers. Well, the idea on greasing applies to the fabric washers that are in the reels, and you could put it on the felt, although you can oil the felt ones as well. That's to do a couple of things. It's to keep the drags flexible so that they don't break, and it's also to enhance the performance of those drags, because drag force is typically weakened over time as grease gets forced out and those washers dry up. And because they're open reels for the most part, particularly on the conventional reels, we'll just grab one here, the conventional reels, because you have the open sides of the spools, the water is going to come into those assemblies, and it's going to rinse it away, it's going to bring salt in, it's going to do other things. And, well, you need something that's going to stick to those drag washers and not allow that grease to get forced out. What you usually find is that water diluting the grease or emulsifying it is going to make the drags jerky and weak. Well, what is this claim on Deuthlon. It says it has a high shear strength and stability for smoothness. That might probably make sense with that PTFE in here. It says that it adheres to extreme pressure, so if you're clamping down, you're not forcing it out. And interestingly enough, it's supposed to have a shear factor to it that as you compress, those drags actually become stronger. And well, it's got the water resistance that you would expect. Again, this is it says it has a polarized property to it. So with polarization on your drag stacks, you have the two sides. You have the fabric washers, you have the metal washers. The slip between the two is what makes the drags operate efficiently. I'm going to assume that on a polarized technology side, we're going to look at the metals there. And the formulation is supposed to be, well, long-lasting and highly consistent. We're going to find that out as well. The third product is kind of interesting. I kind of like this one. It's almost a hybrid. It's a product called a Semifluid Grease with PTFE. You got that, right? Polytetrafluoride ethylene, aka Teflon. So what is the Semifluid Grease? Well, you've seen me on a lot of the videos that I do tell you that I oil the bearings. I don't grease the bearings. And the reason why I do that is because oiling bearings typically is going to enable you to have the best performance of the product and the least amount of contamination. You can grease them, and thick greases do enable you to prevent the corrosion and the rust, but it's going to slow the bearing speed down, and it's not going to enable you to cast as well as you could using that. So I always say oil your bearings, don't grease them, but you have the option to do both. Well, the semi-fluid, see if I can get that in picture, the semi-fluid grease is a hybrid of both. It supposedly has a low coefficient of friction. It's supposed to shield or throw off water and dirt and debris with a dust shield, and it's also supposed to have anti-seize properties in it. Interestingly enough, this one says that it will also have a light and smooth cast to it because it's super low viscosity. So we're going to see again. We'll test that one out and see. Now most of these are designed for bait casting kind of reels. I'll just grab this one as an example. Most of those are designed for bait casting reels, not spin fishing reels in that sense, right? We're talking about the bearings on both sides of these, about the water intrusion that comes in on the sides, and about how that can corrupt or compromise the performance. But in all cases, very interesting technologies there. Well, the last one then is actually the cast lube. This is a ceramic, for ceramic and high-speed bearings. And if we're talking hot rodding reels, I suspect this is the product that would be the most interesting, particularly if you're in casting contests, but more importantly, if you're just trying to get to the second break in the water or wherever you're aiming, this one should help. It's formulated for both the ceramic and the high-speed steel bearings, and it's supposed to have a very low or ultra-low coefficient of friction. Well, friction is going to kill all of the casting reels and casting distance. It's a matter of how fast or how free your spool will turn that is going to enable that spool to continue to turn and ultimately result in a longer cast. This one with an ultra-low coefficient of friction should have that spool spinning forever and ever. Well, one of the things we mentioned about putting grease into bearings is that it attracts dirt and debris. This one contains a dust shield feature so that you're not supposed to be able to shed off that as well as water. It prevents corrosion and oxidation because it has rust-dissolving properties in there. And of course, particularly if you're using high-speed steel bearings, you're going to have an issue that they can rust. It also has an anti-moisture ingredient in it. It has noise reduction properties in it. We're going to try this one on a Mitchell 302 that I have. It's got a noisy bearing. Most of the time, I'll just generally go in and try and replace the bearing. We'll see if it quiets it down at all. It is suitable for saltwater and extreme fishing. And interestingly enough, it says you can use this in an emergency situation to restore seized bearings. Well, that would make sense if it has the anti-rust and corrosion properties in there. It may be able to free up a sticking bearing in the meantime as well. So, very interesting starter set. I can't wait to try it. And again, we have the General Real Lube, we have the drag grease, the Semifluid Grease, which I'm anxious to try, the gear grease, and the cast lube. And in addition to that, they included a General Real lubricant. So I'm going to try them on my reels. I'm not going to put them right onto customer reels, but we will see if that makes a difference. And again, they have included the guide as well in terms of the critical points where you should be lubing. And most of the time, we're talking the conventional or the bait casting reels, low profile, standard casting reels, and so on, because that's where it's going to make a lot of difference. But then again, on the spinning reel application, the drag grease is going to be important there in terms of eliminating that jerkiness or that sticking type of a property. Well, I always like to preview products. I always like to share the information that I find with others, and I'm happy that manufacturers share their products with me so that I can pass them along to you. I hope you've enjoyed the preview of this. I'll follow it up. I'm going to, as I mentioned, I'm going to use them on my reels first, and then we'll see just how appropriate it is to start using this on customer reels or reels where customers want to get that little extra bit of performance that's built into each reel. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you're interested in learning more about it, Deuthlon has a website. Just go put it into your web browser. It will come up. You can order the product, that starter kit, right on the website if you're interested. I think the pricing is about $40. And, well, you might want to try it along with me and let me know your opinion on what you think of the lubricants. They're high performance. Looks like they're designed right. Again, I am not a chemist. I am certainly not a metallurgist. I don't know all the properties, but when somebody tells me that they've engineered it specifically for fishing reels, well, they've got my attention. I hope you've enjoyed it. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day on the water and fun fishing. Thanks for watching.